Hi, it's Dwyer, GamblersAdvisory.com, on Roku, Dwyer Boxing News. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. As you look at boxing sites and as you try to figure out what happened in fights, you need to question everything. Right? Just because a site says it's so doesn't mean it is. I want you to look at boxrec.com, their description of the Guillermo Jones, Denis Lebedev fight, and I want you to be as skeptical of it as you are the videos I make. I'm going to disagree strongly with the description of the Guillermo Jones Denis Lebedev fight on boxrec.com, and I'm going to disagree with anyone. Right now, by the way, that description of the fight is also on Wikipedia here online. Anyone who thinks that Guillermo Jones worked over Denis Lebedev. He didn't. In fact, the fight is up on YouTube right now. Here's what you need to consider. Sometimes a fighter's corner lets him down. Sometimes the fighter is relying on his corner to do certain things to give him a chance to win the fight. Now there's a device. It's a metal device. It's totally legal. It's called an end swell. And when your eye starts to swell up, or a portion of your eye starts to swell up, because you can't allow the swelling to spread. An end swell actually allows the corner to push that swelling off to the side, right? It's not foolproof. It doesn't work 100% of the time. But you want an end swell, right? Because you want to be able to reduce that swelling around the eye as much as possible. Now, if there was ever a fight since Buster Douglas beat Mike Tyson a generation ago and Tyson's corner couldn't control the swelling in his eye, right? And of course didn't have an end swell. If there was ever a fight that called for the use of an end swell where the corner curiously did not have one, it's this fight. Understand that Lebedev was winning on all three judges' cards at the time he gets stopped in the 11th round, right? Had they been able to just subside that swelling, even by a small modicum, it's possible Denis Lebedev would have finished the fight and would have won the decision, right? Make no mistake, Guillermo the Cat Jones is a Hall of Famer, right? Understand, he's had the belt for years. He's had at least some portion of the belt since 2008. And if you go back through his career, you'll see he himself has not lost a fight since 2005. And he's been world class for so long that you're talking about a unique individual who actually challenged twice for the junior middleweight title in the late 1990s, 1998 to be precise, who then challenged for the cruiserweight title. And understand, in two of those three championship fights, he didn't lose. They were officially ruled draws. Then he gets the title. Then he holds the title. Granted, very inactive. But understand, he's held the title now for 5 years, right? And so Guillermo Jones has a Hall of Fame resume, right? He has world-class skills, right? As I've said, he's been in world-class fights dating back to the late 90s, right? And what's interesting with Jones is he does it with boxing ability. He doesn't have great athleticism. He doesn't have great foot speed. He doesn't have great hand speed, right? He's one of these old masters of the sport. He's 41 years old, who literally does it with, leverage and hard pot shots. He's not a combination puncher, right? And he's bold. How bold? He's on his front foot, trying to hunt down Denis Lebedev early in this fight. Early. He wins round one. It's in round one that Lebedev's eye starts to swell, right? The eye doesn't close right away. Lebedev actually has vision for, let's say, at least 2.5 rounds of this fight, and end swell at precisely that moment would have helped dumb down that swelling for at least a couple of rounds, right? At least a couple of rounds. Let me also point out, too, that contrary to reports, I thought Lebedev was winning the fight, just like the judges did. Certainly, Guillermo Jones wasn't outlanding Lebedev. And let me also point out that while Guillermo Jones has excellent defense, he was getting caught by some very hard shots. It's not like he was ducking all of Lebedev's stuff. Quite the opposite. He's getting hit with shots. This fight's really a chin test. It's a tribute to Guillermo Jones's chin, that he's able to stay upright long enough to wear out his opponent. Right, now let's talk about Guillermo Jones style-wise for a little bit, because he's the more interesting stylistic fighter. I've spoken about Lebedev's style in other videos, right? Lebedev moves better than Jones, right? Lebedev, southpaw, can actually operate off of a right jab. Lebedev throws more combinations than Jones, right? But here's what Jones does that's interesting. You've heard the phrase, stick and move, right? Stick and move. What I want you to do is to think about a different phrase. Let's coin it right here. Stick and block, right? Guillermo Jones, in many ways, is like his countryman, Roberto Duran. In other words, he's blocking shots. He's not moving out of the way of them. He's blocking shots with his forearms, right? It's interesting, too, because I believe he's made a deal with the devil. There's some punches, at times Lebedev's jab, that I believe Guillermo Jones, advanced fighter, has chosen not to block. He's willing to take punches he thinks are non-lethal if it allows him to keep his hands in position, right? He's an excellent counterpuncher. It's interesting, too, because for a guy who is 6'4", right? Think about it. He used to fight at junior middle. For a guy who's 6'4", it's surprising how good he is in going to the body, right? What you'll notice, too, is Guillermo Jones throws uppercuts with both hands. That helps his body attack, because you don't know if he's going to your body or if he's coming up top. And because he's a guy who's hunting you down behind a defensive construct, right? He seemed to have Lebedev on his back foot for a lot of the fight. Then when he gets inside, you didn't know what he was going to throw, right? He's not just a headhunter. He actually has a body attack. If you're a fan of Vladimir Klitschko, right, as you watch Guillermo Jones, you're going to notice that there is a part of Guillermo Jones's game, namely his body attack and uppercuts, that Vladimir Klitschko simply does not have, right? Let me also point out that it's interesting when you see a guy who's literally willing to throw left uppercuts against the southpaw. Guillermo Jones works the angles. As I said, this is a boxer without the foot speed or hand speed, but yet I believe he's a boxing Hall of Famer. Certainly this last fight is one of the big moments on his resume, right? But for me, Jones should have lost this fight. This fight seems to be corner malpractice, right? They had an eye that was blowing up on them in the first 4 rounds, right? Denis Lebedev has an eye blowing up on him in the first 4 rounds. And you mean to tell me that his corner didn't even have an end swell to help push that swelling to the side? Understand, you need to do it early, because then that swelling, which is fluid under the skin, can build up on the side. Swelling on the side of the eye, pushed to the side, is much less of a problem than swelling around the eye. In other words, the fluids will build up on the side of the eye, and then they'll actually keep the front of the eye stretched out. So Lebedev would be able to see Jones. To fight a clever boxer like Jones, who's a counter-punching pot shotter, kind of like, think Floyd Mayweather, only unlike Mayweather, Jones is getting hit with punches. Jones is there trying to push the action on his front foot, right? If you're going to fight a guy like that, you need to make sure that the swelling is pushed to the side of your face as much as possible. Here, it looked like they had ice packs. That's how ridiculous it was. It looks like they had water balloons in the corner of Denis Lebedev. I mean, it's as if they were unaware that Mike Tyson lost his title in a fight where his corner didn't have an end swell. Big moment in boxing history that seems to repeat itself every 20 years. So here, I believe, really, Lebedev was fighting 2 groups. Guillermo Jones in the ring and his corner at the side of the ring. I know his corner had a boxing Hall of Famer, right? I'm not here to say that these guys intentionally blew it, but they had a bad night. And their bad night cost their fighter, right? Look at the scorecards. Understand that you're in the 11th round of the fight. Understand that the fight is in Russia before a pro-Lebedev crowd. Understand after the fight, when Felix Jones jumps on the ropes and he's flexing for the crowd, understand that the crowd's booing him. In other words, you had Lebedev in front of his fans in a fight in which all 3 judges had him winning the fight, and all he had to do was close out the 11th and then survive the 12th. And you mean to tell me that that eye is so swollen shut, literally by the 6th round, in fact by the 5th round, it's swollen shut to the point where Lebedev has to fight one-eyed and is still, in my opinion, landing the majority of the power punches in the fight. There's only so much a fighter can do. Lebedev ran out of gas in the 11th round. I don't think he would have, one man's opinion, had they pushed the swelling on his eye to the side of his face. That swelling should have been over here. It shouldn't have been here, right? I'm sure Costa Zoo and crew are talking to each other about it right now. I'm guessing the next time you see Costa Zoo, he's going to have an end swell in the corner. Let me hear from you. Leave your comments for me here online. Visit us at gamblersadvisory.com. Let me also point out that Denis Lebedev needs to ask himself why he didn't do a better job himself of protecting his left eye, because it's clear that Guillermo Jones starts targeting the eye, right? Lebedev should have rolled away from punches a little bit better and had a glove up. But as it was, even with what happened, that swelling should have been pushed over to the side of his face during the first 3 rounds when that eye started to blow up. Let me hear from you. Thanks for watching.